Hi, this is Luke from Instant Chaos, and today we're going to take a look at reboxing Dinosaur World. So from the Kickstarter, I bought the 3 expansions, and in this game, I've also sleeved all my cards, and I'm here to show you how I've boxed Dinosaur World. So to start with, you can see here it's pretty packed to the brim, and then in the next stage, I will reverse it. All right, we're going to start with the storage of the tile placement onto this half of the board. I've laid in this configuration with the 2s closest to me and the 3s further along. So to start with, I will use the dice. If you put the dice without a bag in here, you'll find that this fits very tightly against the dice, and you're not going to be able to get the dice out properly. It's up to you whether you still want a bag or not. I've chosen to keep the bag, and to put the dice inside here, I want the 6 dice at the bottom, and I also want this to be as close to the bottom as possible, and I want the 3 dice over here to then raise on top to essentially create a stack. And the idea of this is, you'll notice that this bit will stick out a little bit, but at least it can still fold into the space. Right. Over this side, we've got the standard dice that we got for the threat dice, as well as the expansion dice. So there's 6 of these. I'll put this in here nicely. This one you don't really need a bag because you've got plenty of space for your finger. You probably can't see that to pull those out, but because I put this in the bag, I might as well put that in the bag. And then I've chosen to put some threat tokens on this side. So the only thing you have to be aware of the threat tokens is it needs to be flush over here. Right? Like, you have to keep that line. So don't forget to keep that line. Other than that, you can put anything over this side. So in terms of the tile placement, the configuration we're looking for is 16 onto the bottom 2 and 20 tiles on the top. So I've counted out essentially the number of tiles that there are. In terms of the attractions and the security plus the restaurant, there is 16 of these because there's 4 of each. So starting with this, I'm going to put this in this bottom corner. Now, the only other stack that I have is 16 is the attractions B, but I've chosen not to go with the attraction B. I've chosen to go with the dinosaurs. So with the dinosaurs, there's 17 of them. So there is, so you will have to take one out. So with the extra, you see that it's pretty flush, hopefully, right? So we'll take one out, and that makes it 16. Right. And then over this side, I'm gonna go with the hybrid. So I prefer to put my hybrid on the side. There is 6 hybrids of, well, not 6 hybrid. There's 6 expansion, or 3 expansions, 6 dinosaur in each expansion. So that makes 18. So I will put the 18 on this side, and I'll get back to this one afterwards. In the middle, I have chosen to, well, it doesn't matter which order you go with, but I'm gonna go with the B option for middle, because that's 16, it's nice and flush. For the side, I've got C at the bottom. The tile C has 9 tiles and A has 12. So this unfortunately makes this 21. So I've got 1 extra. I'll take that out. Right. Following that, with the 2 extra tiles, I will put this in the middle. So now we've got 20, 18, 18. And we have 4 park entrance tiles. So the park entrance tiles, I'll put 2 on the end and 2 in the middle, which makes it 20 across the top, 16 across the bottom, which is our most ideal configuration. Now, the reason why it's 20 here and 16 here is we've got 4 player boards. And to slot this one in, you have to be a little bit on the finicky side, but you slide this in, and then you gotta push up against this dice for the slot, and then that should sit quite flush. All right, and the idea of it is this should not move from the spot, and this should not move from the spot. All right, and then a small handy tip is if you find that this is not flush, use one of these, or well, technically we have 4, so you can try and help boost up each of the levels depending on what you're looking for, and hopefully that might assist keeping this level for you. All right, next we're going to do the top section, and the top section is generically where my sleeves are going to go and some of my dino meeples. So to start with, as you can see, I sleeve all my cards. That's just my personal choice, and I've sleeved them with premium sleeves, which is 19 micron thick. I've chosen to go with Paladin sleeves because Fantasy Flight discontinuing their sleeves, and Paladin recently had a Kickstarter campaign. So if you're following me, you want the Percival and the Boars, essentially one of each. If you're not following me, essentially what you need is standard card sleeves and the tarot size sleeves, but it's the 70 by 120 tarot size. So for the tarot size, we need 8 of them because they essentially used for the player guides, and every player needs 2, up to 4 players, therefore 8. For the standard card sleeves, we need 52. If you're playing, I'm not 100% sure whether the retail will contain AI or not. If it doesn't contain AI, then you'll need 28. If it does contain AI, technically you need 23. And if you have this promo, this recruiter promo, then it'll be 24. So in total, you'll need 52 if you happen to get everything. So starting with sleeves, goes in the top left corner. In the middle, the only thing to note is it needs to be flush against this line. I've chosen to go with the herbivores. So just remember however way you're going to store it, it needs to be flush against this line. Next, the sleeves, it makes sense to go on the bottom, but for the purpose of this particular recording, I'm not going to put it at the bottom, I'm going to put it at the top, and I'll tell you why. So over this side, I've decided to go on with the expansions. So I may or may not pull out my expansions, and I don't really want to take out all my expansion dino meeples just to get to my player A, so I'll rather have this on top. So to start with, I will put the water one at the bottom. I've combined the algae tokens in there just so that I have easy access for pulling out this particular bag. You can either do it flat or sideways, but yep. Following that, I'm using the Ice Age meeples. And then the hybrid. So if you do this right, well, right-ish, then you should have quite a bit of space on top, and then you can able to flip this in nicely. Not as worried about damaging my cards based on the dino meeple at the bottom. Alright, now I'll start putting some of the player boards in place. I guess to start with, I actually forgot that I was just meant to do this. I'll get the coins, I'll level it up slightly, and then I'll put it where the cards are. Now the only thing to remember is it needs to be fairly flush. Oh, I'm playing with this more than I should. Alright, and then that way this board I will put face down here, and you can see that it's pretty solid and flat even with the coins there. Now I have an interesting problem where I was given a second board, because people, the original backers were complaining that the original board they got on the box started warping. My one seems pretty okay, but I now have the spare I don't know what to do with. So I'll just keep it in the box for now, because otherwise I might lose this board. Following that, we've got the player boards. Not sure if you can see. It doesn't seem to be that warped to me, but again, there were some people that complained that this player board was also warping a bit. If you do, reach out to the publisher. I'm pretty sure they will send you another board. For that, I usually put this face down, simply because I want to protect this part. If you're worried, if you're extra worried about it, I guess you can put it this way, just to sandwich it in. But I usually don't think it's much of an issue, because we've got a pretty flat surface on this side. And if you put it face down this way, this part is essentially all flat anyway. So whatever your so-called damaging will be this side, and it should be okay. But with any luck, there won't be any damage. Following that, we also got the bag, Dinosaur bag. With Dinosaur bag, I usually put it over this side, simply because I don't know where else to put it. Originally, I did think about putting it here, but I ran into the problem that this thickness here started impacting over this side, and so I left it over here. All right, and then now we're going to come to the smaller components of the game. I think the first thing I'll probably have a talk about is what I like to do is, for every player, I would like to give them their chosen respective color plus a board. So if one of my friends want to play green, I'll take up the green bag and this board and then hand it to them. So with this bag, what that would mean is everything they'll require will be in this bag itself. The only thing that will be different that you may or may not do yourself is I also add the money in here. So I put the minimum amount, which is 8. It's my third coin, but there should be a third coin in here. So it should be 1 5 and 3 1s, because the starting player will always have 8 coins, and then every respective player after that will get an extra coin. All right. So that's how I like to do things. It's up to you how you would like to do your own. You can keep all the money in there if you wish. But yeah, again, that's my choice. So the most complicated part is actually getting the dinosaur one in. So depending on which one you choose, you can swap this red one with the green, the large carnival with the herbivores. And what you're trying to do is, I usually put either one of those two in this corner, simply because it gives me the most space down here. Yeah, and that's really the key part. And so what you're really trying to do, and this can be a little bit tricky to begin with, depending on how much of a rush you're in, is what you're trying to do is you're trying to put everything here with the least amount of I guess, dinosaur meeple poking out the edge as much as possible. So you may have to play with this bag a little bit, or maybe swap out the bag, but at the moment I'm just using the original bags because not everyone has extra bags. So once you're happy, you can just leave it be. We might have to come and address that later. Then I'll do the small dinosaur. Similar problem. This time we do it in the herbivore side. Oh, sorry, with the cards and the coin. Try and keep this as flush again as possible. Right, and then now we're left with the meeple bag first, because I like to use large component bags down, and for this I tend to just roll this up a little bit here, and then use this whatever space I have to manipulate the edges. So again, just you can overhang a little bit, but not too much, but you try to keep this part as flush as possible. We've got your first player token. Based on that, I could probably put that in here. These tokens can probably go in here, which is the boredom tokens. With the player ones, I start putting them down the side. And this one will go in. So this is my chosen way, but you may find a better solution. So just do whatever makes you happy. Alright, and then after this is essentially the public boards and these I guess marketing brochures and instruction guides. It's up to you whether you're going to keep this or not. I figure I'll just keep it. I'll just leave it here for now. Following those, I will put the player boards. I usually put the player board picture side upwards, because if anything were to damage the board, it will be damaged on the bottom side because of these tokens on the side. And then this way, I usually use the solid square to be at the bottom, as opposed to one of these with the random cutout slots as the bottom piece. This and that, then it'll go here. And so this is what you might have to reshuffle a little bit just to try and keep this as flush as possible. You may not achieve it, but at least it will be as even as you get. What you normally find is this side is a little bit lower than this side, but I guess it doesn't really matter if you store your box horizontally. After that, I usually put my expansion pack instruction guides here, followed by the actual instruction booklet. Right, and the reason I also done it this way is if I was to stand it up vertically, all the tiles that are solid will be at the bottom, and hopefully that will keep the bottom in shape and not push it forward. The heaviest one is a coin, but the coin is locked behind one of the boards. And yeah, hopefully this will be of some assistance. Finally, the lid. And this is how I've chosen to box Dinosaur World. I hope this again is of some help to you. If you've got any questions for me, please let me know. Thank you again for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Cheers.